Medical school is probably the most expensive degree in Australia. You can pay upwards of $500,000 to graduate with a Doctor of Medicine. But why is it so expensive? What do you actually get in return for paying so much? And is that the only cost that is associated with being a medical student? Unfortunately not, but that's what we will talk about in this video. And at the end, I'll share some thoughts about if I think it's worth it or if I think it's completely unreasonable as well. Hi everyone, my name is Nisal. I'm a medical student in Australia. And first let's talk about how expensive medical school actually is. If you go into any medical school website and search for the international student fee, you will find a cost between like 70,000 to 100,000 Australian dollars per year. Unfortunately, this is not a typo. That is the actual cost you will have to pay upfront each year for medical school. The cheapest medical degree I could find is James Cook University, which is $71,383 per year for 6 years. And the most expensive medical program I could find is University of Sydney Postgraduate Medicine, which is 97,000 Australian dollars per year, which means over the course of your university journey, you're paying almost $500,000 to complete a Doctor of Medicine degree. And the question is, why is it so expensive? Well, I mean, medicine is a very specialized degree. During the course of your university journey, you will have hospital placements where you go to certain hospitals and learn from doctors, meet patients. You will have anatomy labs and access to cadavers, which will really help your learning. You have access to doctors, professors, researchers, and ultimately you just gain a world-class education. But the more important part is, what do you get in return for paying so much? I've just completed my first year at medical school. All our lectures are online, but we do have something called PBLs, which is problem-based learning, and we do it in a classroom of like 10 medical students with one professor or doctor supervising us. Roughly, there's about 14 PBL classes that happen throughout the semester, and it's very expensive, the doctors and professors' time. Other than that, when we go to the hospital each week, our group of students is only 5 students with one doctor, so you'll have a really good like doctor-student kind of relationship. And then when you go to the hospital wards as well, you'll be able to talk to patients and the nurses and gain an overall like clinical experience as well. We've had anatomy labs throughout the first year as well, with access to cadavers. And finally, you get to graduate with a Doctor of Medicine degree, which is recognized worldwide. Now, let's talk about some other costs that you will have as part of being a medical student in Australia. As a student in first year, you may or may not have to go to the hospital, because every university kind of does their program a little bit differently. But I had to go to hospital in my first year, so I had to buy a stethoscope. I bought it from MedShop Australia, like a Littmann, and I think it was around $200 to $300. I have it right here. And I got a nice cool purple color, which is really cool. And you can also get a name engraving. I don't know if you can see, but that's hella cool, because you know, like, you actually feel like a cool doctor. Just ooh. Oh, I think it's the opposite way. It's cool that I have it, but at the same time, like, it did cost me. And apart from a stethoscope, you also need to buy scrubs. For first and second year, because we're pre-clinical still, we only had to buy the scrub top, which was a pink scrub top, and it was $35. But in third year, I know we have to get like the full scrub suit, and that's like a maroon color, which is nice. But I'm pretty sure it's like above $50. Other than that, because you're a university student, you will have something called Student Services Amenities Fee, so SSAF. That is essentially the amount of money you're paying for like club activities on campus or like free food and things like that. That's around $200 per semester, if I'm not mistaken. And it keeps going up every year, and it's really annoying. Other than that, in med school, you have like some events like med ball and conferences and stuff. Those can have different price ranges, of course. I know med ball this time was around $120 or $130. Conferences can be anywhere from like even $5 to like $500. And things like this, like, it's gonna help your education, and social events even, you know, you need to build that community at med school, and you're only gonna be in med school once, so it's important to go for those, but just letting you know that you will have this cost. The other cost I want to mention is, if you're an international student, you will have to pay for a student visa. I can't remember the exact amount, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere between like 500 to 1,000 Australian dollars. And the last thing I want to mention is health insurance for international students. I am with Alliance Insurance, and I paid I think $4,000 for a 5-year period, and I get access to like free GPs, some specialist consults. I think it gets subsidized, but it really depends on the provider. Like there's Alliance, there's Bupa, there's probably some other ones as well, like Medibank. Now, apart from costs associated with being a medical student or a university student, you will also have like cost of living expenses, and the biggest one you will have is rent. And rent can be anywhere from like $100 to $500 depending on if you're living with roommates or if you're living by yourself. If you're living close to the city, it can be more expensive. If you're living far away, then it gets less expensive. I made a more detailed video about how you can find accommodation and different price ranges in this video. So definitely feel free to check that out if you want more information about that. Other than that, you will have to buy groceries if you plan to intend on living here. That can be anywhere from like $50 to $100. And even if you're only buying like bread and cheese and chicken and rice, like the cost really just does add up because Sydney is a bit expensive to live in. With transport, if you're taking public transport, all you need is something called the Opal card to gain access to like buses, trains, ferries, all of the public transport services in Sydney. But the good thing about this Opal card is there's a $50 cap each week, so you won't be paying more than $50 for public transport in Sydney. But if you have a car, you will have like registration costs, insurance costs, petrol and maintenance and stuff. So definitely keep those in mind as well. Other than that, if you're planning on like having fun with your friends or eating out, it can be around like at least like $20 per meal if you're eating out. And activities, depending on it, you know, if you go like bowling or like karaoke or something, can be like $25. But if you're going for like an escape room or like go-karting, can be around like $50-$60. And lastly, do I think it's worth it or if it's completely unreasonable? Regardless of my opinion, I can't really do anything about it. It is what it is. But I do think it's worth it if you make the most of it. Like these doctors and like researchers that you have access to, it is like have like years of knowledge, like they have years of expertise. So like if you're interested in something like surgery, you can go find surgeons and talk to them. You can spend time at the hospital and like talk to patients. So definitely make the most of it. And that's it for me, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. If you're an international student, you might find this video interesting because I talk about how you can get into medical school. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I'll catch you in the next one.